What if the biggest thing holding your business back isn't a lack of strategy or skill, but how you see yourself? Confidence and self worth aren't just personal traits, they directly impact your pricing, your ability to attract clients, and ultimately your success. And my guest today, who I'm fangirling over, I will introduce her in a second. But first, welcome back to the Marketing Strategy Academy podcast. If you're new here, I'm Jen Vazquez, and I help busy female service providers simplify their marketing with Pinterest so that they can attract more clients, boost their income, and make a bigger impact without stress. You'll also get expert interviews and actionable tips to help you market smarter, not harder. And if that sounds like something that you'd love to invest time in, definitely subscribe. Today, I am beyond excited and honored to chat with the Succe Bryce. Succe is an internationally recognized speaker, educator, and award-winning photographer who has transformed the way creative entrepreneurs approach business. With over 35 years of experience in photography and 15 years dedicated to education, Succe has empowered more than 28,000 business owners, myself included, through her teaching and self-worth, pricing, and personal transformation. As the founder of Succe Bryce Education, creator of the Portrait Masters Conference, and host of the Portrait System podcast, Succe is both a powerhouse in both the creative and entrepreneurial spaces. And her work focuses on helping entrepreneurs overcome self-doubt, embrace their values, and build sustainable, thriving businesses. Welcome, Succe.
Woohoo! Wow. Thanks, Jen. That was awesome.
You are a master at photographing women in particular to me, and it is truly an honor to have you come here and talk to us about this today. So I always like to start with my guests asking about the jobs that came before. So what you were doing before and kind of how you got to the place where you are today.
So I don't call myself a coach because I don't think I coach people in the sense that I built a business, a creative business, and I thought it was a brilliant business model, how I created this business and marketed this business, and it really took off. But after about 7 or 8 years, I didn't really want to do it anymore because I was burning out. And I thought to myself, how am I going to share this with the world if I stop doing it? And so I thought, I'm just going to franchise my business around the world. This was in 2009. I left New Zealand to start to travel to franchise, and I realized online education was becoming the new big thing. So I started to teach my business model online. So I call myself an educator because it's my business model. And obviously, I just started to teach people doing workshops. And then I did my first digital products in 2012. And then I got a massive following. And so I carried on just building my online platform and my digital products. And so essentially, I ended up becoming a teacher. And I love teaching. It's what I really love to do. And after all those years, I knew photography was definitely coming to a creative close for me. So the next evolution was to teach people how to make money doing this incredible business model. That's where it came from. And that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years. I love teaching creative people how to make money. That's probably my biggest passion. And also just watching people come into their full self-confidence when they build a business.
Yes. Your education really helped me in pricing because that has always been a struggle for me and mindset. And that's why I'm excited to have you here today. So let's dig into some of these questions.
Well, if you can't price yourself, you can't ask for money. You can't say you're worth anything if you can't price yourself. And I actually think when you're coaching people, the biggest hurdle people have to get through in the first year is to be able to price themselves and say what their value is. And that's where I'd say 98% of startup businesses can't do that.
I truly feel for creatives in particular and photographers, there's so many businesses like under 2 years, and there's a big gap, and then over a ton of years. And I feel like that is a direct correlation with pricing. I truly believe that.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I call it breaking through sales because so many businesses struggle to make sales and make profit. But there's this moment where you break through, where you start selling at a profit margin and you start making money. And it is a breakthrough. It's one of those breakthrough moments. And if you think about it, the breakthrough is you finally start to value the price that you're saying. You no longer feel like an imposter, and you're actually speaking and selling and messaging. Your messaging is of value. And once you cross that barrier, you don't ever go back. I mean, you could stop doing that creative business, but you will never not sell again because you're just learning how to be valuable. And that's the hardest part for all of us to get over at first.
Absolutely. And like you can raise your prices, but you mentally don't feel comfortable with it. And it shows. People feel it and they don't feel confident or comfortable and they don't know why. And it's typically that pricing. Yeah.
And it's not the pricing, it's the stinkiness. I call it a stinky because you are stinky. People can feel it. And what they can feel is they can feel that you don't believe in this product.
Exactly. How did you personally break through mindset barriers around pricing? And what advice would you have for entrepreneurs who are actually struggling with that right now?
You know, we say it's a mindset, but the truth is it's a fear of rejection. And it's not a mindset. It's just something you have to practice and it's something you have to get over. And so the hardest part is dealing with the core of it, like the core feeling of the yucky feeling. What is it? And why do I feel this way? And like, I think that's the biggest part. Once you get people through the yuckiness of it and once you get them to confront their core belief is I'm not worth this or I'm not good enough. And they have to get to that point in order to see that they have a problem selling. So it's usually that moment where you confront yourself for the first time that if I'm going to do this as a business, I'm going to have to learn how to ask for money and ask for more. And I'm going to have to learn how to see myself as more in order to ask for more. And I don't think people think that they have a problem with money or a problem with confidence until they start a business and you go to put yourself out there and you realize, oh, I do have a barrier.
Yeah. What is your perspective on overcoming rejection and how has this played out in your own journey?
It's not rejection. It's not that you're not good enough. It's actually, think about this. If you're going to make somebody saying no, thank you, not right now, if you're going to make that about you, then you're not going to survive in this business. You are making all of this about your validation. It's that simple. It's not about you. You're not the client. It's about the client. And if the client doesn't see or feel the value, you either have to come back to the table with more value and better education around it, better messaging around what you do and what you sell, or a better product. And if they still say no, just keep asking until people start saying yes. But you've got to get out of your head that you need it. And you've got to start looking at it more as a service provider. And when you're a service provider, your only job is to provide an amazing service. And people don't buy a service that you don't value, that's not connected to you. So it makes you go back to the drawing board with more value and say, how can I come back to this with more value? But if you find yourself stuck in competition, in comparison, in your mind, just constantly stuck in a loop of competition, you're making all of this about you and you've stopped making it about your client. And who wants to pay for a service that's not about you?
Words of wisdom.
Yeah.
That was a mic drop moment already.
Yeah.
You have helped thousands of entrepreneurs to step into their power. Can you share any powerful transformation story that pops up in your head that really highlights the impact of those shifts?
So many, but there's this reoccurring story that is more of a thread or an overarching theme with all of my students. And that is the moment where it's a lot of the times women will come to me and say, I've been a stay-at-home mom or I'm working part-time. And, there's a confidence lost in those years where you're out of the workforce and then you're re-entering the workforce, but you also want to re-enter that's at a good balance with your children because you still want to be able to pick up your kids from school and have a life that's a little bit more flexible. So starting a small business often comes up for mums. and yet they don't have the confidence of being out there in business for the last 8 years. Often they've been at home or they've been working part-time. So to watch a stay-at-home mum go from that to, can I do this, to, oh my gosh, I can actually earn like $3,000 doing this. Oh, I could earn $20,000 a month doing this, to my husband has left his job and now supports me in mine. I think that story I've probably told, on the podcast, and Nikki is my podcaster, and she tells that story. The amount of times we've come across that story, and watching someone go from, can I do this, to we're doing 480,000 this year, and my husband left his job to support my business, and now we're doing this, this, and this, and we're growing this way. That's my favorite story, because I feel like the women would all come to me and say this one thing: can I do this? Yes, you don't need my permission. Am I good enough to do this? Yes, you don't need my validation. And just watching them then go and do it, and watching who they become, they physically, spiritually transform. It's like somebody has come into their full power, and just watching that get supported and then watching that change lives. I've got goosebumps. Yeah, that's it. Because I broke a cycle of poverty in my business because I grew up, I didn't grow up with business owner parents. My parents were blue collar, hardworking parents. And I had a good, strong work ethic, but I didn't know anything about growing wealth or growing a business. So it was the single biggest transformation in my life, and I see it as being the biggest transformation you can take. That's why I love coaching people through it, because you watch people transform their confidence, their money, and their whole lives.
Yes. Oh, yes. Now, you say that self-love and passion for your craft are the real keys to success. How can service business entrepreneurs really sort of practically cultivate these traits while juggling the demands of running a business and probably a family also at the same time?
You can't sell something you don't love. It's that simple. When you love it, you're not selling it. You're just talking about it and doing it. So that definitely is 100% the rule. You can't value something until you can explain it simply, until you've mastered it. And once you've mastered it, you not only explain it simply, it's connected to you and the energy of your voice and the way you say it. It's just, it is what it is. So to me, I think mastery is one of the most important things that you can get to, but the clarity and the connection of value is the messaging. And that is more important, that you get to that value as quickly as you can, and that you're charging constantly in equal exchange. So when you start, no matter what you start, you're going to start at a lower price and build your way up. And it's okay to do that. It's okay to increase in increments.
Love that.
And I think people get really afraid of that. What I see is a whole lot of newbies trying to charge full price, like that big ticket price. And I'm like, cool, but the biggest competitors that you're up against are charging that, and you don't have that content, that library, or that experience yet. So start smaller and build your way up into the increments of value, but make no mistake about it. Don't lose sight of the, I'm a service provider. Whether it's a physical product or a service, you're still a service provider first. And your client is more important than you are. So make sure that you're communicating that to the client. But loving what you do is the biggest one. Also, if you have a personal brand, you're the person in the brand, which makes you a product. And if you're struggling to sell and connect your products, you might be actually struggling to sell and connect you as the product. I just thought to myself, okay, if I am the product, then I need to work on myself just like a product.
Yes. Oh, that's good. Okay, we talked a little bit about this before, but let's dive in a little deeper. So imposter syndrome, especially with scrolling on Instagram and TikTok and all those things. Also fear of judgment really hold a lot of female entrepreneurs back. How can women shift their mindset or knowledge to really fully embrace their worth and show up confidently?
Imposter syndrome is comparison. Comparison is competition. Competition is the opposite to creation. If you find yourself in comparison, you're trying to compete instead of creating what you need to go and create. Why do we get stuck in comparison? I just said this at an event this week. Men compete to be bigger, stronger, faster, and richer. Okay, they compete against each other to be all of those things. When women compete with each other, we compete with comparison. We compare ourselves instead of competing up against you. We compare ourselves and then we decide what we're worth and whether or not we're worthy of taking that step. That's the difference. I need you to get out of comparison. If you find yourself, it's okay to compare yourself because your brain naturally wants to contrast and compare. But the second you hold on to a comparison and put yourself up against it and then create a result from that comparison, you're now stuck in a loop of your own thinking. So you've got to stop comparing yourself, because ultimately you're competing and you don't want to be competing. You want to be creating opposite energy. So how I would break that was I would recognize if I felt competition or comparison. Yeah. And I would say in my brain, I am not here to compete. I am not here to compete for what is already created. I am here to create. That's straight Wallace Wattles from his book, The Science of Getting Rich. And it's such a brilliant book. It's like nearly 100 years old. And it's just so packed full with information. And that's really it. Like, I'm just not here to compare myself. I'm not here to compete with anybody. I am here to create and build around me.
Love that. I love that. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you tend to see female entrepreneurs make when it comes to pricing their services? And what's one actionable step that they can take today to start changing what they're worth?
Okay, a lot of men in business work around the lion's share. The lion does not hunt. The lioness does. The lioness does all the work, and then she brings back the food, and the lion eats first. The lion eats first, then the babies do, and then the person who caught the gazelle gets to eat it last. Now, the lion's share is this idea in business that the lion eats first. Well, when you see male businesses, they are set up so that for the lion's share, the lion eats first and everybody else gets paid afterwards. But women in business, especially even women who are starting to make money for the first time, what I see is they get a whole lot of team members around them. Community support, community assistance. And all of a sudden, when we break down their income, all of their money is going out to the community and not to them. No lion's share at all. In fact, they're not going to be sustainable in business until they start letting people go. And then, of course, their nature is, oh no, I can't let people go. That's going to make them not like me. And so I know.
I'm laughing, but this has all gone through my head at one point.
It's like we have the tend and befriend oxytocin, right? Instead of the fight or flight, we have tend or befriend. So we want to tend, befriend, and serve everybody. But your team definitely need to be loyal to you, and they need your love and open communication. But they don't need to get paid before you do. Otherwise, you're not getting paid, and that's not a business. And that's what I see. These businesses look real good on paper.
That's what I was just going to say. Yeah. You can make a lot of money and take home very little if you don't have it set up properly.
And the profit margin is where you get paid. That's where the lion's share is. And unfortunately, what I see with women is supporting all of the people around them and not themselves. Well, I have always taken the lion's share. And I knew that if I didn't, somebody else would. Also, I understand as much as I hate the lion's share story, because I'm a lioness. It made me realize that it was a male, female, gendered story. And I was like,
that makes me want to fight it.
I know. And that made me get like the feminist rage. So yes. I was like, what is it really saying here? We have to start, as the owner of a business, take the lion's share. It's not gender. Just because I'm a woman in business doesn't mean I shouldn't take the lion's share. It's just not my nature to take the lion's share. I have always taken the lion's share because I knew one thing. If my business failed, the only thing I would have to show with it was a well-paid team.
That's not good.
And that was not what I did this for. I did this to walk away with something. And I did this so I could own a home and have the life I wanted. So I made my life richer first, and then I made all of their lives richer. And that's why they stay with me. And if I can't help a team member grow, they need to move on anyway. So I've been very blessed by building this gorgeous team around me. And I did that specifically by keeping the lion's share. And then I taught them how to keep it. So instead of having guilt and shame that I was getting the lion's share, I taught them. I sat them down and said, this is how you run a business. This is how I pay myself first. This is why I'm important. This is why the profit is so important for this business, because it's got to sustain me. It's got to keep me in business. It's got to grow my business. It's got to grow my bank account and balance my life. And it's got to pay my entire team of beautiful people. But I'm first.
Yes. Love that. Love that so much. Looking back, what were the key factors that really helped you to create a business that not only thrives, but also sustains you personally in creativity? We kind of touched on that a little bit, but do you have anything else to add there?
You know what? When I wanted to start my business, I heard the coulda, woulda, shoulda. You should do this. You could do it like this. Should have done it like this, whatever. And then I heard everybody's opinions. And you know when they say, what is it? If you share your vision, you will get division, because people will give you their input and it's not their vision, it's your vision. So I had this vision to specifically start my creative business this one way, doing this one creative thing. And everybody I talked to told me not to do it. Everyone said it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work in that climate. It wouldn't work in that market. And I was like, and I'm not being cryptic. Basically, I offered 4 different genres, but I really only wanted to do one. The other 3 I could get paid for, but I hated doing them. And I was like, that's not really life. I get paid, but I don't enjoy it. And then this one genre I just love more than anything. And everyone was like, that's stupid. You're never going to get paid to do that. And I was like, but I'm not getting anything now. This is the start of my business. Yeah. I'm broke. So if I don't make money, I will change it.
At least I want to be happy. Yeah.
So let me at least try. And I went against what everybody told me, and I followed my gut instinct. And I know if you're a business owner right now, you might be sitting there going, am I on the right path? You're telling everybody, asking all this opinion, and you're hearing stuff and you're not listening to your own gut. Mm-hmm. So do the $1 million dream. It helps everybody. Close your eyes, put out your hand. I'm going to put $1 million check into your hand right now, but there's a caveat. You can only use this to grow your business. Okay, so I want you to sit with this money, put your name on the check. I want you to imagine it going into your business bank account. And then I want you to think about your business right now. Does this money support your future plans? If you had this money, would it change those plans? And if it does change those plans, you're on the wrong path. There's something about getting $1 million. It's a lot of money.
Everyone says that's what they want.
Yeah.
And yet they don't have any plans around it.
No. And there's no timeline to making $1 million. You've actually got to sit down and say, if I had a profitable business doing this, how long would it take me to get to $1 million? How long would it take me to get to $1 million in sales, $1 million in gross income, $1 million, and then $1 million in profit? Because, you've got to start to actually visualize and imagine what you can create for yourself. But what that $1 million does is it alleviates money pain. And when you have money pain, so you're stressing out about money, you feel sick about it, you're in debt and you're struggling to make ends meet, you're surviving but you're not thriving, you don't realize how much of that energy is getting pumped into your business. And unfortunately, it's getting translated as low value, stinky, needing money, not giving service and loving what you do. So it's incredible how your own debt can work against you. Instead of providing service, it's going to block money from coming to you. So just be hyper aware of it. And everything that you're saying has to speak value. Otherwise, it sounds needy and that repels money from you. So yes. I followed the truest path is the lesson there. Sometimes when you get the $1 million and you're like, no, if I had $1 million, I would actually do it like this, my way.
Then do it that way.
Yes.
I
Trust.
I mean, when I was in corporate America, I was making a tremendous amount of money, but I was not happy. I wanted to be home with my kids. So, and now I'm doing exactly what I love and I'm getting paid for it. And I'm making more than I made in corporate America, but I had to be okay with that. Like it felt like because I wasn't getting that money, maybe it wasn't right, but I loved what I do. And that counts for something. And not many educators talk about that part.
Well, so another thing too is I also fall out of love with my businesses.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I get bored.
Yeah. And I think that's really important because, you know, if you don't evolve in your business and in yourself, and I think it's like a 7-year creative cycle. I look back in my career, and even though I've been a photographer for 35 years, there are increments of 7 years where I distinctly changed what I was doing and how I was doing it, even though I'm still a photographer. So there were so many moments that I look back like that and I think, oh yeah, I definitely did a pivot here and a pivot here. And you have to. I don't think all businesses were designed to last for a lifetime.
No.
But I also don't think 80% of them should fail in the first 5 years because you don't ever learn to ask for money or price yourself with a profit margin for taxes.
Correct. People forget about that tax piece, and that gets so many photographers, but business owners in general, in trouble when taxes come. Yeah, not good. I always say, put that money aside every month. Don't wait till the end of the year, and then you're going to really be stressed.
It's a great story. When I was very new in business, I remember saving my income into my main business account. So instead of having 3 bank accounts, one for taxes, one for the business and one personally for me, and splitting my money 33, 33, 34 so I can grow my business and then get paid and obviously save my taxes, I was saving into this bank account. And I watched this bank account get up to $97,000. And when you're a brand new business, that is a lot of money, you know. And I was like, look at me saving my taxes. Like I was walking around like with all this cash. And, you know, this is in 2002. And I was like, showing off. And then I get my taxes. It comes time to do my taxes, and my taxes were $98,000. And I remembered being like, oh no, it was 1,000 under, so it must have been 96 because I had like $1,000 left. And I thought I was saving all that money. And I was so wrong. First 3 years, I would have lost my business. But when that money went out, and I remembered sitting there going, but that doesn't leave me with anything.
Can I keep a piece of it?
And then I realized how many people can't make the payment on their first taxes because they never thought to save them. So that's a big lesson. 33, 33, 34. 33% of what you earn every month goes into a tax account, and it will accumulate, and you will have more in that tax account than what your taxes are by the end of the year, and you will get money back. 33% goes back to the business to grow it and to pay your staff.
That's people miss too.
Yep. And that's very, very important because if you're not growing your business, where is the money going to come from to grow your business? Out of your savings? And then you get your 34%, which is your salary from the business. And that also accumulates. And every month, if you split your money into 3 ways like that, it works. It is the most basic way to teach basic commerce and business. It is the simple truth. I've spoken that for 15 years and it blows my mind how easily and quickly it changes people's business and life.
It takes off the stress and the nerves about a business, because at least for me, when I was first in business, I was so scared of every decision I made. And I watched you talking about that 33, 33, 34. It made me feel like I could do it.
It also makes you understand how to price your product, because now I know that whatever I price my product at, I'm only getting 34. And when people start doing their numbers from their profit number instead of their gross sales, it changes everything. Let's say I sell a product for $3,000 and I get to keep $1,000 of it for myself. If I want to do a new adventure and I need $30,000, I need to do that 30 times because I don't need to do it 10 times. 10 times will give me $30,000 in income, but I'm only keeping the profit margin. And once you start to actually work your projections and your numbers from your profit margin, that's when everything changes because you see the truth of what you're doing and how you're doing it. And it's not as scary and big as everybody thinks. Look at it like this. Taxes make me feel stupid, but I'm not a CPA. And my job is not to be a tax accountant. So I don't have to be brilliant at that. I outsource that.
Yes.
And the whole point of outsourcing my taxes is I don't know how to do them, and I shouldn't be an expert in tax accounting because it's not what lights me up. There's literally somebody that gets excited by it.
Spend more time marketing instead of trying to learn taxes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, before we get to the gift that you are sharing with our audience, tell everyone about how they can learn from you. What courses and things do you have that can help people?
Well, I'm building a new platform on SueBryce.com, so you can check that out anytime. You know, I've noticed I've been doing a lot of networking. And as I was out and about meeting all these new coaches, and they're all just starting up their coaching businesses, and I've been doing this for 15 years, I started to realize like all these new coaches are really good. When you meet coaches and people who have content online to teach and share with you, you base the selection of that mentor or that coach based on who resonates with your energy and what they teach. And I know for me, this is true. But when I really sit down and say, what is my superpower and where am I at my strongest, I break business down into 3 areas. I think it's about business is the product you sell and the service you offer. And money is how you ask for money, how you receive money, manage it, keep it, and grow it. Because when I first started in business, I couldn't even ask for it, let alone receive it, manage it, keep it, and grow it. Now I grow money. My money grows my money. But there are 5 big levels of money to get through in terms of self-value. Once you sort out your product, connect that to you. Once you sort out your money, connect that to you. Then the 3rd big vertical is you. And it's really putting yourself out there, and you just slowly, very slowly start to put yourself out there more and more, you know, on reels, on social media, at networking events, in the sales room with your clients. And before you know it, you have these systems created and you've created this little business. So to me, the reason that I believe it's about product value, it's about personal value, and it's about money value is because when I learned those 3 things, it changed my world, my business. It changed my money life. And like I said, I broke generational poverty, and it changed how I create and how I build wealth.
And how you teach.
Yeah. So there it is. For me, it was like, I believe you're just drawn to the coach or the mentor that has what you need. And so really it's just looking at different coaches and saying, who would I like to work with? And you can usually tell because when you are listening to someone that really resonates with you, Plato says that all learning is recalling. And when somebody is dropping information, it's like you're remembering it. It's not like you're hearing it for the first time. It's like you know this truth. And that to me is recalling. And I believe when you're listening to someone and you feel like you're recalling, they are speaking to you in a way that you are just channeling in a very different way. And that message is for you. So you know when somebody is right for you. And, you know, and I believe all coaches really should just acknowledge, instead of sort of saying, this is how I think you should do it, this comes from how I did it. And that's why it's, yeah. And I think I just think building a business is transformational. And I wanted to transform my life. I wanted to transform myself physically and spiritually. I wanted to transform my money. And I also wanted to grow a business that I could be really proud of and that was sustainable.
I feel like sometimes businesses that don't reach out for that education or for coaching in whatever way they can afford, could be YouTube, could be whatever. I feel like that's when you really grow as a person too. And then when you grow as a person, your business just grows. Like you're just growing yourself.
Yeah. Truly
Yeah.
is.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Tell everyone what your freebie is and how it can help them.
Oh, this is a download called the 3x3, and you're going to think it's such an easy, it's simple, but it's not easy. You're going to think it's such a simple exercise. So I always say it comes down to identity and whether you believe your own messaging and your own identity, and it starts with that introduction. So 3 ways. My name is Sue Bryce. I'm a photographer, speaker, and educator. So position yourself, how to position yourself clearly, who you help, what you do, and why you do it in 3 paragraphs or 3 bulky sentences. And it's just a really incredible way for you to get clarity around how you position yourself when you introduce yourself as people. And I just did a speaker training this morning. And one of the cool things is we were talking about the difference between when women walk out onto the stage and when men walk out onto the stage. And the difference where the women were all coming out with nervous laughter and lots of friend, and just trying to find their voice and their authority and their command on the stage instead of just really embracing it and walking out there. I just noticed there was just a lot of holding yourselves back, and business is just not a place to hold yourself back. There's no room for you to sit down and be quiet here. You want to put yourself forward with the most amount of confidence and clarity that you can.
Yes. Oh, I agree with that 100%. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I am so grateful that I had this opportunity these years later to be able to interview you, and what you have to say and how you say it, I know will inspire people that are listening to this podcast. So I really appreciate your time today.
Oh, yay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jen. It was great being here.